education are pillars of the Filipino community. And those are pillars that my parents guided me on, and they have continued to be pillars that I've leaned on as I've accomplished many things in my life. One thing that I'll focus on this evening is education. And not just formal education, that Connie was so diligent about reviewing my academic education, but I think the education of life and what life has shown me hopefully will continue to inspire me. But as I shared one portion of my life, I hope each of you will hopefully reflect on your own lives and your own stories to recognize that all of us may have slightly different stories, but they're all based on the same common foundation of a strong Filipino-American culture. So education, what has life taught me? July 27, 2013. Number one, dreams can never be too small, but don't be surprised if the dreams that you've always had take on a slightly different form. When I was in high school, I was a cheerleader. Definitely on top of pyramids, standing on top of other people's shoulders and other body parts. So I went to college at UVA, and I was fortunate enough to be one of 2 first-year students to actually make it on the junior varsity squad. So talk about having a college experience where I was actually cheering for football and basketball, and who knew that cheerleaders could cheer for wrestling and lacrosse. But we did, working out side by side with the basketball players and the football players. And I was just having the time of my life. So by October, as many of you may have college students in school, you'll know that in October is the fall break. So I called my parents, I was very excited. I said, Mom and Dad, I have a surprise for you. And they said, okay, why don't you wait? We'll talk about it when you get home. So all my excitement came home. We sat down at one of our meals, and they said, so what is your surprise? And I said, I know what I want to do for the rest of my life. I know what I want to become. They said, and what is that? I said, I want to be a professional cheerleader. Now, they didn't quite have the same excitement as I did. So my mom, the family physician, slowly put down her fork and was silent. My dad very quickly stood up, put on his slippers, and shuffled across the floor, put his hands on the sink, and started staring out the window. There were a few awkward moments there that I'm sure everybody in this room appreciates. Slight awkwardness. And finally, my mom broke the awkwardness and said, Listen, that's very interesting. However, if you really ever want to eat in the future, you might want to consider an alternative career. So looking back now, I'm thinking, you know what, that was actually pretty wise. You know, she didn't really tell me to stop, but she put the onus on me to think about it. So as fate would have it, I would sprain my ankle, and so I continued to pursue medicine. Fast forward 11 years later after all my training, and I find myself in practice with my mom as my mentor and partner, and my dad as our office manager, constantly telling me to see more patients. And I realize I start developing these relationships as a family physician with patients that are dealing with chronic diseases like hypertension, with patients struggling to stop the most preventable habit, which is tobacco use, or patients that are trying so hard to lose weight because they're obese. And I would see them every 3 months. We'd adjust their strategies, see how they were progressing. And then when I would see their blood pressure normal, we'd celebrate. Or I would hear that they've cut their smoking down from a pack a day to only 5 cigarettes a day. Or I could see by just looking at their vital signs that their weight has gone down by 10 pounds. I realized I was being a cheerleader for my patients. Then when I was in the privileged role of being the Chief Medical Officer at Chesapeake Regional Medical Center, Many of you may have heard of a couple of bigger guerrilla systems, hospital systems that are on the south side. Little Chesapeake is an independent hospital that was built by the community for the community. So while I was a chief medical officer there, I truly was a cheerleader for this little homegrown hospital and for the physicians and staff associated with that hospital. Then as president of the medical site in Virginia, representing 10,000 physicians across Virginia, I was cheerleading for physicians and for the patients that they served. And now, 2013, State Health Commissioner, as you heard from Connie, I get to oversee the agency that's protecting and promoting the health of all Virginians. So now I am the cheerleader for 8.1 million Virginians. Thank you. So I certainly thank Governor McDonald for giving me this privilege and honor to serve. But I go back to my point. Don't stop dreaming. Your dreams are there. Don't give them up. But just don't be surprised if the dreams take on a totally different level than you could ever imagine. So keep continuing to pursue that dream. And I will close with this. That each of us, in our own unique way, have an incredible opportunity to make a difference, not just within our own lives, but in the lives of all those that we encounter within a day, at home, at work, and in our community. And I would strongly urge each of you to continue to say, regardless of our age, regardless of where we live, and regardless of what our profession, we have the incredible opportunity as Filipino Americans in Virginia to continue to make a difference. And I would hope that we would want to redefine what people know of our Filipino American community. People already know that we're the friendliest of all ethnicities. People know that we always have the most food at our functions and could always take some home. But you know what? What I think our secrets are, and that we are probably the most persevering, the most passionate, and those that are filled with the most pride about our culture. So if we can continue to share our stories of sacrifice from the generations before us, and where we find ourselves with incredible opportunity today to pass on to our younger generation, and I can say that now because I'm older, but pass on to the younger generation that we are a strong, solid people. And I will end with the last three quotes of my favorite presidents. Of course, Thomas Jefferson. I have to include Thomas Jefferson, who said, "It's always wise for one to hunger and thirst for knowledge, because knowledge is power, and you are never too old, never too smart to learn." John Quincy Adams. If your actions inspire others to dream more, to learn more, to do more, and to become more, you are leaders. And I wholeheartedly say that Filipino Americans in Virginia, and in fact across the United States, are leaders as a group, and certainly leaders as individuals. And lastly, my favorite, John F. Kennedy once said, "One person can make a difference, and everyone should try." I wish you well as you all continue to try. Thank you for having me.